Hi everyone, a brand new case born today coming from Lian Li, known as the SUP01. I'd like to do the unboxing and to share with you my experience with this case based on the modularity and the functionality, and of course with all the special arrangement like the fans, the radiator and the GPU and such. With this said, I'd like to thank Lian Li to have provided this case for me to share with you guys, and to Block Soda to have done the arrangement on the delivery. This chassis comes in two colors, black or white. The whole structure is in steel, except for some areas like the bottom front and the bottom side. These two panels are made of plastic. And not forgetting the tinted tempered glass. Now, the design of this case, starting off with the tinted tempered glass, this is dark. You might not be able to see the interior, but where I'm looking at right now, I'm able to see it. So just an illustration, if you were to populate any ARGB lightings inside this case, right, it will definitely shine and to show your components. Now this is my lamp, which is at the brightest. I'm going to dim it down all the way to the lowest. This is the lowest. And just to show you, if you were to place any lightings inside the case, this is what you're going to see. And there's a reflective mirror at the bottom. So with the help of the reflective mirror plus all your ARGB effects, right, it will bounce within, the lights will bounce inside the case and to showcase all your components. Now next will be the front, where above the plastic panel, this is a full metal cover which is in mesh. And at the side, again, full metal panel mesh, inclusive the top, which is also full metal mesh, which I will show you later. With all this mesh panel at the top, at the side, and at the front, right, there will be tons of ventilation, be it cool air or warm air passing through the case. At the rear, it enhances even further, where you can see all these holes that's decorated throughout the whole back. This will allow more ventilation too. Starting off with my top right, this is the cutout where you place your motherboard rear I/O. And as you can see, when I glide my fingers, it doesn't cut. Right at the bottom, there are a total of 7 expansion slots, and these are all with perforated holes. But do note that when you populate any PCIe card, these are of half size, not full size. So take note on this. And right at the bottom, this is where the PSU cutout is. And they have included a nice function whereby you can remove the whole PSU tray by removing these 2 thumb screws. See? Then you can fit your PSU and to plug it back to the case. On my extreme left, all these are with mesh holes again, or should I say ventilator holes for more ventilation. And right over here, right, these are all Velcro stripes for you to cable tie your cables neatly. And right at the bottom, which I'll show you later, this is a pass-through rubber grommet for your HDMI cable or your DP cable, DisplayPort cable, which is routed from the PSU that is mounted at the front. So you will just route and pass through here and to your monitor. As for the dimension of this case, starting from the depth, is at 404mm, and the height is at 534mm, and the gap between the bottom and to the case bottom is at 10mm, and for the width is at 212mm. To remove all the panel is pretty straightforward. Looking at the glass panel where you have this lever over here, all is needed is just to pull this towards you. And when you're pulling, right, make sure you support at the front, pull it out, see? And this you'll be able to remove off the tempered glass. And the tempered glass is of a thickness of 4mm. And to place this tempered glass back, there are 2 hole slots at the bottom. And at the tempered glass, you'll see that you have 2 notches over here. Just align it and to pop it back. It's just this simple. Let me just take this out and leave aside. Right now I'm actually doing the front. There are no way for me to catch the front and to pull it out. It's only through one side, see? So best way to remove the front is to remove both side tray, or should I say side panel. Now when you're removing off this side, make sure again when you pull towards you, right, do not wank the whole thing out. Make sure you support with the other hand on this area. So when you pull it out, right, when there's a gap, put your finger in and to tuck it in so that you can grab. As there are picks over here, I mean the studs or clip to clip it back. So if you were to pull it one side, right, you might bend the metal panel. So make sure you pull it, you know, one side, guiding the other side, pull off both ways. And as to put this back, it's pretty straightforward. All this guiding studs, or should I say the clip, is to align with the metal panel clip or studs. And there's one center over here. So when you place it back, right, align these two things, which is similar to your tempered glass. There are two slots at the feet. Align it, and you can pop it back. And when you're popping it back, right, don't pop it to the top yet. Pop to the side. See? Once it's done, right, then clip the top. And this is done. Now, back to where I was when I'm mentioning to you the front. As you can see here, right, having both panel removed off, it'd be easier for you to place your index finger over here and over here, so that you can just pull it out. Without that, right, imagine that the both panels are flush. You don't have a good gripping to pull this panel off, I mean the front panel. So you just pull it out this way and to take it out. Same goes with the top. If you want to remove the top, right, make sure you remove the side panel, followed by the front, then last will be the top panel. Reason being, right, I know that there is a hinge over here, or should I say there is a gap over here for you to pull, but it's pretty hard for me to pull it up. So what I'll do is I place my thumb over here, holding on to the case, and to push it up. See, this is easier. Alright. Oops, I forgot about the lamp. Now as for the top, this is how it looks like, where you have the holes at the top, and inside it there is a mesh. This is to filter out the dust. You can just remove this and to clean it and to place it back when it's dry. But since this is actually the top, I would not advise you to put the filter, because you will need more ventilation, as in like to pass the warm air out of the case from the top. And to put this top tray back, right, is by this notch, and to clip on at the top. See, this is done. Now on the front panel, I forgot to mention, there is a mesh filter too. Now this do not remove, because based on the fact that your graphic card is at the front, okay, in fact this case is built for you to place your graphic card at the front to take cool air in. So you wouldn't want your graphic card to have more dust. Make sure that you have this filter on, which is removable. Now this is the mesh filter, where you can clean it again. Once you dry it, you can place it back. And there's only one direction. You can't place it this way, because this is a wider gap, this is a smaller gap. So make sure you place it this way. And to place the front panel back, again, there are bottom two notch. Follow the holes at the bottom, just align it, and what's catching it is through this clip. So we just need to place it and to pop in place. Now the last thing that I like to talk about, in fact, is the bottom over here. You have a mesh filter, or should I say dust filter. You can just press it down, take it out, and this is where it filters off the dust for your PSU not to catch any dust. Once you have cleaned it and you wash it, make sure it's dry, you can pop it back. It's pretty straightforward. Another section I would like to show you the design where you have the ARGB strip at this section of the case, which is at the bottom, right above the front panel, and the bottom side panel. You have these strips, and you don't need any ARGB software and such. It's all in-house, where you have this two controller, which I show you later. You can toggle the effects and such. Now, this is also provided to you, as you know that this case is meant for you to plug your GPU at the front. And this riser that has a 500mm in length for you to route the cable through here and to plug to your GPU. And for the other end, right, where you have this is meant for you to plug to your motherboard. And this does have ARGB effects too, whereby once you have done everything, right, plug this cable, okay, which is which is provided in the case itself, to this socket over here. So when you do this, right, you will have a unified ARGB effect. See, not only to the front strip, the side strip, and also the riser socket or connector. See, it's all unified. This is at the front of the case, right at the bottom where the feet are. You have a very nice logo, Lian Li. These are function buttons, where the Lian is in fact the power button, and the Li is the reset button. And for the front I/O, it's also located at the bottom of the side panel, where you have the modes which I mentioned to you, the style mode and the color mode for your ARGB effects on your strips and on your riser cable, followed by a combo microphone and headphone jack, a Type-C USB port, two Type-A USB port version 3.0. This is the interior of the case itself, whereby it allows you to mount only ATX, MATX, and ITX. If you are using EATX, kindly do not use this case. You will not able to cater for that. So take note on this. And besides this, right, this case is future proof, as in, you know that right now in the market there are motherboards that are BTF, Back to the Future, where you have the connection point at the rear. So these are the cutouts for the rear. Now, there are lots of cutout, as you can see over here. At the bottom is with rubber grommet, two of which, and at the top a very big cutout, whereby I'll show you how this cutout is for, which is to pass your EPS cable, which is the 8-pin, and your AIO tubes. And there's also a small cutout over here and over here. All these cutouts, right, when I glide my fingers, I will not get cut. They are all rounded. Nice touch. And besides this, if you're mounting a normal ATX, MATX or ITX, right, these are the pass-through for your 24-pin cables and your USB connectors. Earlier on, I mentioned about this whole mirror panel at the base. This is to assist whatever ARGB components that fit inside the case to reflect the light, so that all your components will be visible. Now, another very smart move from Lian Li. In fact, this whole mirror section, right, is a cage, which underneath you can house two 2.5-inch SSD. To remove all this cage, just remove this screw over here. Do not lose this screw. Once you're done, you can remove off this cage by leaving it up. See? And right below it is two 2.5-inch SSD. And how this tool is being held, there will be rubber grommets provided in the accessory package where you screw onto this SSD and to slot over here. See the 4 slots? Same goes to the other section. And one thing they did very smartly, where you have the whole cutout over here, so that you can slot your SSD in. And not only that, your SATA cable, your data cable will be able to plug through the rear of your SSD. Once you've mounted this, right, to place the whole compartment back, you will need to guide this two notch at the rear where you have two holes. Okay, guide it in and you leave it down. And this is in place. And to fasten this whole cage or cover, just screw this screw back to where it is. And you'll be secured. A very unique design, well done. This is the front part where I show you how to mount a GPU to the front. But before I do so, right, things you will need to take note. With the locking mechanism, starting from the top, this is a swivel point where you can move up and move down. And you can lock in place with a thumb screw at the back. Okay, right now I'm locking it. See, it doesn't drop. And why do I swivel this is depending on how lengthy your cut is. So you can adjust the level. And of course, to release, you just remove the thumb screws and you can go down. And also, I will bring you to a close-up on how this mechanism looks like, where you can push to the back, see, and push to the front. This is whereby it adjusts the width of your cut so that you can just hold on it and stay firm in place. And this is lockable by this screw here. If the rear is too, okay, probably later I'll show you what's going on at the rear. As I mentioned, right, once you have locked this in place, right, you can just use a screwdriver to screw this. And you will firmly stay in place, it will not move. See? Next thing you need to take note is the base, whereby you have this PCIe slot, which is located at the bottom instead of the rear. Now, when you slot your cut in, right, you can adjust. You see, it's movable. So assuming that you have plugged your cut in, right, you adjust where the center is, which I'll show you close up. Now, another thing to take note on the measurements. If this swivel point here it is at its lowest to the base over here, this is at 320 millimeter. If you bring it all the way up, okay, the gap in fact is start from here all the way down is 375 millimeter. And if your cut go beyond 375 millimeter, I will show you how you can adjust this base plate. A close-up on the base, how you mount the GPU. As you can see over here, these are the slots where you slot the graphic card, PCIe slots. So if I were to insert this, right, make sure you go it this way. In fact, it's best to remove off this whole base and to mount the graphic card before you mount it in. But just for illustration purposes, I will just do it this way. You can put this in place. See, it's done. And make sure at the back of your graphic card, there are two screws. You need to fasten it to secure your graphic card to this base over here. And as mentioned to you, this is offset center. So if you want to adjust it, right, you can just push. See, it's movable. This is center. This is off center. And as mentioned to you, right, from the top to the base over here, the height is at 375 millimeter. If you want to go beyond 375 millimeter, there is a way. Let me just remove this card just to show you how. Now, assuming your card is at around or above 380 millimeter in length, which is a 4090, what you need to do is to remove off the center screw over here. Again, do not lose this screw. See? You can totally remove off this tray. So as I mentioned earlier, right, you should be plugging your card first. As in, like, remove this tray, plug in your card, screw the needed screws to hold your GPU on this plate, then place it back. Okay, this is the original position. Now, as mentioned to you, if your card is more than 400 in length, and from the top to here, right, it's only 375, what can you do? Take a look at this slot over here. So just, it's needed, lift this up, place at the second section. See, you push the whole plate down, and again, you can do the alignment to make it center. And by pushing this whole plate down, you have total clearance of 400 millimeter. This is at the top, whereby I told you that this you can swivel. See, up or down. So right now the graphic card is in place. What you will need to do, depending on the width of the graphic card or the thickness of the graphic card, you can adjust this too. See? So I'll start off with the lever of the catch. I'll just push this down so that it will grab my card. See, it's done. Then I'll move according to the position. See, you can swivel. So make sure it's centered and it's nicely locked. Then once it's in place, right, you can just tighten this to lock the graphic card in place. See, this is done, and my graphic card will not move. See, this is how the finished product looks like when you mount a graphic card. This is a ASUS TUF 4080. See, you see it nicely with the base panel right at its top position. So if you want to mount a 4090 which has a longer length, you can, as mentioned, dismount this base plate and to move it down. So you give you more clearance where you can fit a 4090, not an issue. Now, you can fit a 4080, 4090, but what about 4070? Okay, let me just take this out. This is a 4070 Ti Super coming from ASUS, another TUF card. Now, if I were to slot it in, right, no problem, I can fit it nicely, but see, this doesn't touch. Based on the fact that, as I mentioned to you, right, from here of the base to this level, right, it's 320 millimeter. So if I want to fit a shorter length card, right, you probably will need to find some sponge to hold on the card. If not, see, this is going to wiggle. So something you might need to take care on it. But it's not not fixable, it's just that you need to find a sponge, rubber sponge, to hold on this and to clamp this in place, and you'll be alright. This chassis has a very unique way to place your fans and your radiator. They have meant it at the back, not at the front where you see the motherboard. Starting off with this section over here, where this whole tray in fact is removable. I'll show you how. For this tray, you're able to populate 320mm fans. By the way, these three are pre-installed, which comes along with the case. And you can't place 140mm fans, not at all. Reason being, right, there are no fan holes which is allocated for 140mm fan. Over at this section here, for the fan allocation, you can place 320mm fans like the left side, or 240mm fans. As for radiator, you can place 240, 280 or 360. Now, to show you how I remove off the two section of the tray, first off, you'll need to unscrew the screws over here at the side. This is for this tray, this is for this tray. And at the top, there are two screw holes over here, which I already taken off the screws. Please do not lose this screw, it's pretty tiny. I have actually removed the top. So right now, just going to remove this section over here. And when you're removing, right, make sure you use a magnetic screwdriver so that you will magnet to the screws. See? Because these are easily loose. And why am I holding it? Because it's going to fall off. See? So with this say, right, you can just remove this tray, pull it up, and how you hold back this tray is 2 holes over here with the guiding rubber studs. So all is needed is just to slot it in 45 degree angle, and just put it back, and to screw them in place, the side and the top. And as mentioned to you, right, these are pre-installed fans, as it has a rating of 12 volt and drawing at a 0.15 ampere. The RPM lowest is at 300, max is 1800. You can choose to change your fans to your liking, be it whether you want to place performance or ARGB fans. Now as for this section, right, I've deliberately placed a radiator inside. This is a 280 coming from Arctic Liquid Freezer 2, whereby it has a thickness of 63mm. See, I can put it in place. To remove off the right tray where the radiator is, first thing you need to do is starting from the top. Remove the screws of the right tray, which is here, and also to remove the top cover, which you have 3 screws over here, 1, 2, and 3. I've already taken off the screws. Please don't lose this screw, it's very small. Once you have done this, right, you can remove the top. Now, the reason to remove the top, as you can see, right, you need to route your Liquid AIO block through this area over here, and it's very narrow. See the gap? So you need to take this out in order to take the block out. As the block is pretty tall, see? Next, remove this side screw. Okay, make sure you hold on the tray itself, and to take out the screws. Then slowly holding the block, as you can see, I'm holding the hose, slowly glide, and to take this out. And again, you can pull it up and place it back. Just reverse the direction. Slot the 2 guiding slots over here and to the hose at the bottom. Again, place your block over the other side where your your motherboard is. Then slot this in at a 45 degree angle. Once you have slotted in, right, slowly push it back and to screw in place with the screws, and then place the top cover back. Now for the top cover, do note that you need to align it too. Assuming you have placed all in, the right tray with the radiator, right, to cover this top part, as you can see here at the top, there are 2 slots over here. So align the slot with the guiding stud to the slots. Okay, once it's aligned, you can just clip it back. See, this is in place. As why am I showing you the Arctic Liquid Freezer 2? As it has a 63mm thickness, and see, there's still plenty of gap. Reason for this, right, if I'm going to remove this, the gap from here to here is at 76mm. Now when you're placing the Arctic Liquid Freezer 2 or 3, there will be an issue for Arctic Liquid Freezer 2. Take a look at the front. As this is sticking out, even if you can mount this, right, you're going to have a problem bending your hose. See, it's going to be very stiff. I would to advise, if you are placing any Liquid AIO that has thick radiator, or be it the normal thickness of the radiator, right, have your pump block with swivel points, so they can swivel your hose either to the left or to the right. As for this right, sticking out, see, it's going to be very hard for you to mount. And the holes, take a look, is protruding out. So you're going to have a hard time to bend it. Take note on this. If this block happens to be an air cooler, make sure that the height, which is from here all the way to the side tempered glass, is not more than 85mm, as this whole length over here, or should I say the height, is at 88mm. There is additional fan allocation, which you can see. This is the rear, where you have the expansion slot over here. There are 4 protruding out screw holes, and this is provided in the accessory package, where you can mount the 120mm fan on this cage and to mount it to these 4 holes. And as there are slots at the top and at the bottom, once you mount it right, you can align it as like shift to the right or shift to the left, and to lock in place. It's either to do intake of air to the case or exhaust hot air from the case. Once you have taken off both tray, the left and right, this is what you're going to see. There are a total of 9 Velcro strike points for you to do cable management. You have a total of 4 over here, 3 over here, and 2 over here. And right at the top right hand corner, you have this clip. This is for you to pass through your 8-pin EPS cable from your PSU, and passes through here. It holds the cable, and to route your connector over the other side and to plug to your motherboard 8-pin EPS socket. This is at the bottom of the case, where you can see that on my right, this compartment over here is meant for you to place your PSU, and it's able to cater a length of 220, but I would advise to keep it at 200 so that you have gaps, or should I say space, to plug your modular connectors to your PSU and to route your cables. On my right, these are the caddies for the hard disk. You're able to place 2 3.5-inch hard disks or 2 2.5-inch hard disks. Now, for the 2.5-inch SSD, please note that you need to remove off this tray. And to remove off this tray, at the bottom, there are 2 screws, which I already taken off. Once you have removed that, there is this lever over here at the center. Lift this up, and once you pull it out right, you can pull the whole tray out. See, it's removable. And as mentioned to you, if you want to mount 2 2.5-inch SSD right, you will need to remove off the top, which you need to unscrew this thumb screw. Take this tray out totally. See, you'll be able to mount the 2.5-inch SSD, and of course you need to take off this caddy again to mount your 2.5-inch SSD over here. The total storage of this case, at the front, as mentioned to you, the bottom section right, where the cover is on the mirror side, there are 2 SSD 2.5-inch plus 2 SSD 2.5-inch, total is 4 SSD. As for 3.5-inch right, it's only 2. The case comes with all these cables here, which is meant for you to connect to your motherboard in order to make use of the socket over here at the front I/O, and to make use of the toggle switch for your ARGB effect. I'll first start off with all the sockets, starting off with the 3.0 type A port. There are 2, which you will need to connect to this long rectangular connector to your motherboard. Next will be the type C, which you will need to connect this to your motherboard. And for the combo headphone microphone jack, you will need to connect this connector that says HD audio to your motherboard. Then last but not least, to control the ARGB effects, which is having the mode as in like the different patterns and the colors, I mean the static color cycle, you will need to power up this controller. And there's this SATA connector over here that's attached to the case itself. Make sure you connect this to your PSU SATA connector. So this will power up the controller and to light up your ARGB strips, which is at the front and at the side. Last but not least, this tiny plug over here, right? This is for you to continue on the ARGB strips on the riser cable, which is here. And this riser itself, right, at the back, there is this white socket. This is where you plug this small cable to the socket. See? So this ARGB strip on the riser cable, right, will follow when you trigger the mode over here, just like the strip at the side and at the front. And as for the front power switch and the reset switch, in order to make this work, you will need to connect this connector known as the front panel, which says F_panel, to your motherboard. Just to show you the ARGB effects where the tinted glass, which is dark, as you can see, the diffusion of the riser cable, right, that has a strip, it has a nice fusion. Same goes to the bottom over here at the side and at the front. There are a total of 9 LEDs on this riser, 25 at the side, 13 at the front. And as mentioned to you, right, you can toggle the mode and the colors. Now, when you press on the M switch, which is mode, it will cycle through all the patterns. Right now you see is the glow random of colors, and you'll cycle all the colors. Then when you press on mode, you will go to rainbow. And for the cycle of the random colors and rainbow, right, you can't press the color switch, which is C. See, it doesn't change. But as you go on with other effects, like right now, I'm going to switch on to the other mode, which you can see here, the snake kind of pattern where you have white and yellow. If you toggle the color switch, which is C, see, you will go to another kind of colors, and you press on more, right, it will give you more options. So this will cycle through. See? And if you press on to the next pattern, which is the M switch, it gives you this. See, this is kind of like color stack, white and yellow and such. So when you press on the C switch, right, it will give you a different color. This is white. See, it stacks. So it goes on and on. Then if you want to change to another mode, just press on M. It will give you this. This is chasing. See, from the front to the back. And you can cycle the colors again using the C switch. See? The fusion is fantastic. It's nicely done. Take a look. It's very clean and crystal clear. So if you want to change the pattern again, I press the M again. See? To another cycle. And you can press the C switch. See? Now if you change the pattern again, pressing M, you will go back to the random color change. And when this is doing the random color change and glow, right, you can't press the C button. As mentioned to you, you can't change the color. As this is rendering the colors, all the various colors, then when you press on M again, right, to go to rainbow, this also you will not be able to toggle the color switch. Next is to show you, if you do not want to make use of this controller to control the ARGB effect with the labeling M and C, you can bypass this and to set it to either your motherboard or a ARGB controller. I've not mounted a motherboard, but I do have a controller. So as mentioned to you, right, this 3-pin 5V ARGB that comes with the case, right, which is attached to the controller, is connected to your motherboard or the controller. So in order to activate either your motherboard or this controller, okay, motherboard as in like making use of the motherboard software, So right now I'm actually using this controller. To use this controller, all is needed on the switch itself over here that says M, which is the mode. Press and hold on it for 5 seconds. See, it will change. When it changes, right, it signals me that this is the one that's controlling it, which is my ARGB controller. See? So we just cycle the static colors. Okay, let me just fast forward just to show you the effects. See? This is controlled through my ARGB controller. You can do this with your motherboard if you connect this 3-pin 5V ARGB connector that is there is connected, right? That is linked to this controller, to your motherboard. So assuming this is actually the motherboard, you use the software to control. See, you can do that, no problem. And if you want to switch it back to your controller, just hold on the switch M again for 5 seconds. See, it's back. And you can start to toggle with the switch on this panel again. So you can switch the colors and such. There are lots of different kind of effects whereby you don't really need the software on your motherboard to control all this fusion effect. I feel that this controller is more than enough to control all the colors that you wanted. See, it's pretty nice. And best part is that you don't need to use the software, to run on the background that have to control through your motherboard, which I feel that there is some kind of bloatware. So with this controller, right, it's pretty neat. This is the accessory box. You'll be provided with instruction manual, the fan cage, which I've shown you earlier, and with a box of screws that is packed to this box. A thank you card, zip ties, the rubber grommets for your 2.5 inch or 3.5 inch hard disk, bag of mixed screws, additional clip which is meant for your side panel. If it happens that the clip broke off, right, you can make use of it. You have a few here, in fact, total of 4. And this are for your side tray at the back. If you could remember the bottom section where you have this rubber studs, these are the spares. You have a total of 4. And these are the SSD screws, be it 2.5 or 3.5, the PCIe bracket screws and such. It's all packed over here. And all this, right, are listed in the instruction manual, where it shows you all the content of the screws and such. Hope you guys have enjoyed what I shared with you regarding about this Lian Li SUP01 case. Today is just to unbox this case and to share with you how to do the mounting properly, as in like the GPU and your AIOs, and the limitations, what to do and what not to do. And I do believe that most of you wanted to know the thermal results of this case, which I intend to do it on a separate content, because if I'm going to do the thermal results with this content, right, it's going to be very lengthy. With this said, things that you have taken note, like the GPU at the front, where I've shown you that 4090, 4080 is not a problem, even if your graphic card is stretched above 380mm in length, because the max length, right, when you toggle the PCIe base panel downwards, you can have a total of 400mm in length. And as for the radiator and Liquid AIO placement, right, you can have a liquid freezer too, which is, liquid freezer family, which is at 63mm, as the gap is 76mm of this case. But there are limitations, as I mentioned to you, for liquid freezer 2, right? The block itself, the 2 holes is sticking out. and it will cause you difficulties to bend the holes and such. So make sure when you use Liquid AIO, right, make use of those that is swivelable. I mean the hose is swivelable, so you can just position your hose properly. And as for the GPU, right, do take note, I've shown you 4080 is possible, a 4090 is also possible by shifting the base PCIe plate. But when it comes to 4070 Ti Super or 4070, or maybe cards like the Gigabyte Eagle, right, which is very short, then you will need to find some counter measurements, as in like place punch, so that the top bracket, right, will hold on it. With this said, I'd like to thank Lian Li to have provided this case for me to share with you guys, and to Block Soda to have done the arrangement on the delivery. If you guys are new to my channel and you like my content, do remember to subscribe and to click on the notification bell button. Till then, take care, goodbye, see ya.